Yeah, there we go. You can always either ask us for that information or, just go to the website and check it out. So I'm going to keep letting people in. For those who I don't already know, I'm Karen Giberson. I have been with the Accessories Council now. Next month will be 19 years, which is frightening how fast time goes. I see many, many, many friendly names and faces, and hopefully we'll get to see you in person soon, because we have lots of great opportunities coming up to see you in person. The team is, we're in New York. I say at least 3-4 days a week now. So if we haven't seen you for a while, it's time to make an appointment. We were just talking about our showcase, which is coming up. It's a collective show space. It's right across from Hudson Yards, about 2 blocks from Penn Station. It's beautiful, white, lofty space. And if you're looking for a place to show during May Market, we have just a few spaces left. And then, of course, our ACE Awards are coming up. Our magazine is coming in. Next issue soon. So hopefully we will let you catch up with that. I'm just muting a couple people. If you've just come in, if you could mute yourself, that would be terrific. We turned this into a webinar, so you can ask questions and participate. I think for the moment, we'll have Kristen and the Statosphere team present, and then you can either put your questions into the chat. You can raise your hand, we can ask them live, and we can be interactive towards the end, because I suspect that as they present, a lot of your questions will be answered. So we were really excited to meet Kristen and the whole team from Statosphere, because we know that, the way people are shopping now, so much of it happens online, through social, through TikTok. And if you're not, capitalizing on using that market, you could be missing out for sure. And the cool thing about Kristen and Statosphere is they've figured out a way to make that happen for you. Kristen herself started out as an influencer, content creator, and started this company to really help her solve a problem that she was having as a content creator. And they have found ways to connect micro influencers with brands and come up with a number of winning formulas. And I think fair to brag a little bit, we met Kristen through a dear friend of ours, Nancy Berger, through Hearst, and has been housed and incubated. So the team around Statosphere and Kristen is mighty impressive. And I have to say, we got a chance to meet her team in New York a couple of weeks ago. Also, mighty impressive team. Loved everyone and can't wait to hear from you today. So welcome.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Karen. Really excited to be here and to work with you all on this. And really just we really enjoy sharing educational content, especially around marketing. That's been my, area of expertise and very passionate about the marketing space and helping small businesses grow and scale. So I'm really excited to present to you today a little bit more about diving into TikTok, because honestly, TikTok, I'm sure I don't have to tell most of you, feels like the Wild West sometimes. And it is very different. And it's kind of one of the I feel like biggest shifts we've had in a long time in the marketing space. So that's what we're going to be covering today, is how brands are driving sales with TikTok. And just some housekeeping information, just to repeat once again, Karen said that this is being recorded, so she will share that afterwards. So in case you're taking notes or pieces like that, you'll be able to see all of the slides I'm going over today. And then I'll save some time at the end, try to save some time to answer any questions, and you can come off mute and we can chat about it, or you can drop them in the chat if you don't want to forget about them too. So So yeah, just to give a little background on myself. So I'm founder CEO of Statusphere. We help brands scale micro influencer marketing in a fraction of the time. I've been in the marketing space and even more specifically the influencer marketing space for the last 10 years. My first job was managing mommy bloggers in like 2012. And I was actually a blogger myself and started on the creator side. And during the last 10 years and really the evolution of influencer marketing, I kept trying to find ways to really scale specifically the micro influencer space because we were seeing that it was giving much higher ROI to the brands that we were working with. But I couldn't find a platform that would do what I needed it to do and really be able to scale not just, 10, 20 creators, but hundreds and thousands of creators and really make that impact. And that's what we did with Statusphere. So built out a great team and we just surpassed actually last year over 75,000 brand creator collabs that have been facilitated through our platform. So we have truly, proven that we can scale that category. And we work with a lot of brands, in a lot of different spaces, beauty, CPG, accessory spaces as well. And so I look forward to sharing some of the learnings today, but just a little bit more about our platform. And we would love the opportunity to give you a demo if it's something you're interested in. But really the problem that we're solving and the problem I had when I was on as a marketer doing influencer marketing for brands was really how can I scale this micro and nano creator channel for and build this community. And finding creators was really challenging. Getting that content at scale was challenging. Managing contracts, payments, and implementing for paid UGC was also challenging. So with Statusphere, we take the thousands of hours that takes, we turn it into 1 hour. We give you expert support, guaranteed content. We even handle the fulfillment, take that off your plates in many cases. And then we give you those amazing analytics designed for creator campaigns. So yeah, if you're interested in chatting with our team, we'd love to give you a demo and explore how we can help you grow this channel for yourself. But for today, what we're going to cover is how to drive sales on TikTok and some of the learnings that I've seen and some data also that you can bring back to your teams as you're thinking about building out your TikTok strategy. So the main categories we're going to cover is first the state of TikTok for brands and what's changed because it's changing constantly. Next is 4 ways to drive sales on TikTok, and then wrap up with some examples of real brands using TikTok to power their sales engine. Because I feel like examples are some of the best ways to learn and really envision how you can use this for your brand. So first, let's just give a lay of the land. What is going on with TikTok as of now? So first of all, TikTok just keeps growing. So the 2024 forecast is over 900 million global users. And if you actually look at this chart on the right, you can see here that TikTok is the teal line, where you can see the incredible growth that it's had in terms of total daily minutes. And right now, it's projected that it's going to pass Facebook in 2025. So you can just see, like, compared to the two main players in the space, Facebook and Instagram, just how fast TikTok has grown and how it is continuing to grow, right? And just think of how many these is people spending significant amount of their days on this platform. It's really replacing, how people used to watch TV, they're now spending time on TikTok, especially the younger generations. It has over 650 million downloads as of 2023. And then, like I said, it's on track to overtake Facebook. And then the last thing that we have to call out the elephant in the room is the TikTok ban. So if we all recall a few years ago, the TikTok ban resurged, which was where there was concerns over the safety because it is owned by a Chinese company called ByteDance. And so there was some pressure to ban TikTok because of security concerns. It seemed like it just disappeared for a while and everyone forgot about it. It has now resurged in the last few weeks. But I do want to caveat that it is not actually a bill does not ban TikTok. It actually is just requiring that it divests. So even if this bill passes, which it does have bipartisan support, it is really a forcing mechanism for the platform to divest from its parent company. So most likely there's going to be very little change, most likely, to the actual way that users are using the platform is my guess, and just based on the data that we have. So there's still a lot to be determined. But if I was a brand looking at this category and just how much staying power TikTok has, right now, with the information we have, it's very low risk that it's going to get banned outright. It's just most likely going to get divested, which I think is a good move for TikTok in general. Oops, I just clicked on the button and it went over here. Let me reshare. Okay, cool. Can you see my screen again? Yes, I assume that's yes, but Sorry, I'm used to using a different platform. Okay, cool. So who is on TikTok in 2024? So the split is pretty much even between men and women, skews a little bit more on the male side in general. But you can see here that as of October 2023, it has over 102 million users with an average 12% year-over-year growth. It's the highest daily usage of all US social apps, and nearly 75% of Gen Z are active on TikTok. So we have all heard the concept that TikTok um, uh, is more for the younger audience, and I'm going to kind of go through and show you that as well and how that's working. And I actually also just want to make sure I can see the chat because I can't tell if you guys are telling me you can't see or not. So I assume you guys would come off mute and let me know.
We can see it.
Okay, all right, great.
Everything's
I was
good.
like, I
Okay.
can't see the chat. Okay, thanks. Okay, cool. So who's on TikTok? And then it's pretty split between male and female. But then jumping into that age bracket, because this is always the question I get asked, like, should I be on TikTok if my demographic skews a little bit older? So as you can see here, the largest bucket of saturation is really that 18 to 24 category. So 76% of that 18 to 24-year-olds are on TikTok. But then if you look at the 25 to 34%, you still have 54% of that category is on TikTok. So still a pretty meaningful amount. And even the 35 to 44 bucket, 38% of those of users in that age range or consumers in that age range are on TikTok. So one of the highest growth is actually in the older age ranges, which is pretty typical for a platform. Normally it, really gets embedded with the younger audience and then slowly the older audience adapts. So there's still some really meaningful data that proves that even if your audience is not Gen Z, especially the millennial audience, is really active on TikTok and consuming a lot there. And then what is TikTok in 2024? Which sounds like it should be obvious, but I wanted to point out how TikTok is really different than some of the platforms you might be used to, like Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, where they pick one thing that they're typically really good at or a couple things. TikTok seems to be doing a lot of things. So most of us know them as a social platform. So they were competing with the likes of Instagram and Facebook, but they recently are pushing long form video content, which means like actual horizontal video. They just launched some push around that in February. So that gets them to compete with platforms like YouTube. Then you have search tools. So we'll get into this a little later in the presentation. But one of the most interesting things I find about TikTok is that 40% of young people, millennials and Gen Z, are actually going to TikTok to search instead of Google for their first searches. So it's actually pulling search volume away from Google, which is something really important to keep in mind as you're thinking about your TikTok strategy. The next is an e-commerce platform. TikTok is putting tons of resources and money into building out their e-commerce engine. You'll see this in TikTok Shop, which we'll touch on as well, and being able to actually shop right via the app. They're even building out fulfillment centers. So this is something that we haven't seen with other social apps, really. So they really are rivaling almost that of Amazon. And then they even have a music streaming platform in some other countries as well and live shopping, which gets into more like the next generation of QVC or HSN as well. So it's just important, I think, to understand that TikTok is doing a lot of things right now, which I think can hurt it in some ways, but I think it also helps in other ways because it's just being so ambitious with the way it's taking on this whole ecosystem and this social shopping, category in general. So now jumping into that search category, because I think this is something as a business and as a marketer, you should definitely be following closely because I think it's one of the biggest changes we've had in marketing in a long time. I mean, Google has owned the search category since it created the category, right? And now it's starting to be dethroned. So in 2022, actually Google themselves came out and in a TechCrunch article covers it, saying that 40% of young consumers prefer social media search to Google search, TikTok being the front runner in that. And now, as of 2024, 74% of Gen Z use TikTok as a search engine. So really, when you think of TikTok and your strategy, you should not only be thinking about TikTok as this is a social network, I'm building a community. This is also how you should view where you rank in Google, how you used to view how you rank in Google. You need to think about your rankings on TikTok because if you make, the best, sunglasses for or sports sunglasses or something, when people are searching for that on TikTok, how do you make your brand come up, right? And you have to start thinking of those keywords, right? Next, and so some new data shows that 51% of Gen Z women prefer TikTok to Google search because of that video first format. And then TikTok is constantly updating its search features. They have a ton of amazing features that you can look at. I would recommend, if you have not searched on TikTok, and you are looking to start using TikTok more in your marketing strategy, start using it in your everyday life, because you'll start realizing how consumers are using it and figuring out how to get your brand in front of the right consumers at the right time, which we'll talk about today, but I highly recommend it. Although you will get hooked and then it's hard to leave, because now I only search on TikTok. So some other pieces in terms of the social commerce. So 92% of TikTok users claim they bought from the app or would in the future. 48% of adult consumers would buy a product directly from TikTok. In 2023, TikTok became the first non-game app to hit 10 billion in consumer spending, and they're just getting started. That's even before getting really TikTok Shop launched. The hashtag TikTok made me buy it has over 6.4 million posts, and then of course they have that TikTok Shop launch in late 2023. So it's really only just the beginning for TikTok commerce. And then something else that makes TikTok really different is its algorithm. And its algorithm actually makes it so that follower count doesn't matter. You have almost the same likelihood of going viral if you're a creator with 1,000 followers as somebody with 1 million followers. The algorithm really feeds it to the right people. Now, of course, celebrities can help get the word out, and they do have average views of much higher, but it really has leveled the playing field and allows for brands to actually be part of the conversations, I feel like, in ways that they never could before, especially smaller brands that maybe can't pay for those big creators. So I think this stat is very telling, that 83% of viral videos on TikTok come from unverified accounts. So this is like someone without the blue check, somebody who is just an average person. And we've all seen that, it's that authenticity that makes TikTok special. And then the TikTok customer journey, TikTok actually released this a while ago of how they view the customer's journey on TikTok. And I do think it does represent it well. And they kind of view it as this like infinite loop. So you discover, you consider, you purchase, you review, you participate. It's like this ecosystem of commerce. And a new data shows 72% of users who took an off-platform action from TikTok said that they get most of their trusted reviews from TikTok creators. 61% of TikTok users engage with product-related content, and 21% of social shoppers started their product searches on TikTok. So creators can be really great for those key touch points and really lend to that authenticity on TikTok. So now jumping into the 4 buckets of how to drive sales on TikTok. So I like to separate them this way so that you can think about how you can tackle each one and kind of create a strategy around it. So the 4 buckets are: first, organic. So how do you get your actual content in front of your consumers in a way that they're actually going to push them through the funnel to buy? Number 2 is search. How do you increase those rankings for people searching on TikTok, getting that evergreen content? Because something that ranks can actually rank for years if you can get it ranking and it's a really great video. Number 3 is paid and affiliate. So actually like juicing those the content that you already have and reaching more audience with ads. And then also the affiliate piece. And then lastly, creators, because creators actually feed into all 3: organic, search, and paid. So I wanted to show how they tie into all of that at the end. So first section is understanding the algorithm when we're talking about organic. So for the organic piece is like, how do you just get more eyeballs, more views, more impressions? You need to understand the algorithm. So what TikTok says the For You page is, which is that page where most people spend their time. So 96.96% of video views are on the For You page. Another reason why follower count doesn't matter, because the For You page has nothing about who you're following. It's based on what the algorithm thinks you want. And how it feeds that to you is based on the interactions that you've had, the video's information. So it reads the descriptions, the captions, and sounds, and it sees like, oh, we notice you like watching videos with these descriptions that have these phrases. We're going to show you more content like that. And then hashtags as well. So the big like underscore of how the algorithm works is interactions is greater than followers. It's really those interactions that determine who gets to see your video. But what's amazing about the TikTok algorithm is it's built, honestly, it's built for human nature, but it's also built for marketers, because a piece of content and your product, it will get it in front of the right consumer, which is incredible, right? Especially if you're optimizing that video together. So one quote here from TikTok is, with the right content, a post from a little known TikTok user has the potential to reach the same number of people as a post from a creator with millions of fans. So in terms of one, just like double clicking into that TikTok algorithm. So theory one is like completed video views hold greater weight, which makes sense. This is kind of similar to YouTube. So one theory is for every one like for every 10 views gives more exposure. So that's kind of like the engagement rate that like really juices the algorithm and shows it more people. And then there was an observation that videos with less than 15 seconds tend to go viral. But it's starting to shift a little bit more to these longer form. And I think really at the root of it is just like, are you bringing value to the people viewing the video? And then thinking about the hook too. The hook is so important to get people to view your content. Um, so next is understanding TikTok sounds as a business account. Top question I always get asked is, should I set up my business account as a creator account or as a personal account so that I can use all the sounds? I have to tell you that that is technically against TikTok's terms of service. I do know brands do it sometimes. But the good news is that there's a ton of great sounds in the royalty-free music library, and TikTok is constantly adding to them. So I would recommend following TikTok's terms of service because you don't want to get dinged for that. And just know that business accounts can't duet, react, or like stitch videos, which means like engage with videos that have music that is not from the royalty-free library as well. And you can find the royalty-free library too very easily. You can search it on TikTok too. So branded content ideas. So here's some categories in terms of getting that organic reach, the categories that work really well, and one buckets that I recommend brands look at. So first is products in action, customer tests and reviews, how-to videos, tutorials, or as TikTok calls it, edutainment. So education with entertainment combined, product hauls, and then humorous and entertaining content. And then I did want to give a tip because we run so many TikTok campaigns, something that we've noticed. We did an A/B test between campaigns that had creators mention coupon codes or more bottom of the funnel messaging, but specifically coupon codes versus not. And they had typically lower engagement than ones that did not mention coupon codes. So I know as marketers, we all want to try to track everything, but just know that as soon as you add a coupon code in there, it can a lot of times make it feel a little less authentic, more salesy, which at the end of the day may hinder your actual amount of views and engagements that video gets as well. And what TikTok wants is, I mean, this is what you should follow. Like, you got to feed TikTok what it wants so that it can show it to that algorithm and you can get those organic views. And what they want is entertaining, positive, humorous, and empowering. Those are the top categories that TikTok mentions as things that really, do get a lot of views and shares. So 92% of TikTokers say positive emotions inspired their off-platform interactions with brands. Creator how-tos, skits, memes, unboxings. And a tip is that TikTok's audience loves to learn new things. So new products, random facts, did you know? Those are all really great things to think about as you're building out your content strategy. And we do have a guide that we built out of, it's like over 60 content ideas for brands to create on TikTok. I'll have Sam from our team, I know she's on this webinar right now, drop it in the chat as well. So if you are struggling with coming up with content, we have a whole like list of content recommendations as you're building your strategy. And then another one of my favorite frequently asked questions is, can't I just post my reels on TikTok? And the answer is maybe. TikTok is still a very different platform. It has almost a different culture than Instagram does, and there can be overlap between the two. So there are things that you can repost, but it is really important to understand the TikTok audience and the TikTok trends because sometimes they're very different. Also, a lot of times trends start on TikTok and get to Instagram much later. So by the time you post it back on TikTok, it could be kind of pretty late as well. But I did want to point out an example of how I see brands doing it well is they change up the captions between the two or do slightly different editing. One is by Desi Eyewear. They post different captions between TikTok and Instagram based on best practices. So at the very least, if you are going to repost on both your TikTok and Reels, make sure you think about the captions. You can see here the difference kind of between a Reels caption is typically a little bit longer, and TikTok is a little bit different too, in terms of just like the voice that they put on there as well. So next, how to drive sales on TikTok with search. So diving into that search category. So first, you have to understand how TikTok search works, which if you open up your TikTok app and you click on the little magnifying glass and you go to the search, you can see like for here, like press on nails at home is a good example. A bunch of videos will come up. It is a very compelling way to answer your questions, to get real consumers answering it. So it's such a great shopping search engine, to be honest. So you can see that the search also can include ads. So there's ad placement spots there too. And then you can also filter as well. So there's a bunch of filters you can filter based on follower count, based on profiles, based on preferences. But as a default, it actually does not sort by how many followers the person has. It defaults by the relevance to the search feature, which I think is really key to understand. An example I like to give is I was shopping for a new blush recently, and I was like searching on TikTok, like best blush brands, blush reviews. Anyways, the blush I ended up picking ended up being Rare Beauty, which is one of the main, their spokesperson and owner, I think, is Selena Gomez. She was nowhere to be found in the search results. I ended up picking it because the top search result was someone with only 2,000 followers who just had a similar complexion that I did. So it made me want to buy it. So that just gives an example, a real life example of how people are using TikTok search and how TikTok is actually feeding the results. They didn't give me the Selena Gomez content with, even though she has millions of followers, they gave me someone who they thought would resonate with me. And that's actually why I made the purchase as well. And then the business impact of TikTok search. So 61% of TikTok users actively shop and research products on the platform. 71% of Gen Z say social media is where they most often discover new products. And then as more shoppers turn to social media, brands need to rank like they do in Google. So you can see here too, like you type in scarf and then it shows scarf reviews, scarf wrap tutorial, scarf baklava. You can see all these different pieces. These are great keywords that then you can try to create content around to rank for. So think about what your consumers are searching for in their buyer's journey and create content around that. And also work with creators to create content around those different verticals. So you can kind of pull people through the funnel and get ranking. And then diving more into those keywords as well. So really think of TikTok as a search engine versus just a content distribution channel. And I think just by having that mindset alone, it will help you to start planting the seeds to start ranking, because it's not all about the best trend. It's also about answering the questions your consumers have so that you can rank for them as they're searching through their buyer's journey. So you want to identify search trends to inform your social strategy. A goal is to create content that satisfies your audience and the algorithm, and in that order. So it should always be like, what does my audience need? And then how can I make sure this is good for the algorithm? And then I will say Google searches seem to mirror TikTok searches. So a really great way is to use keyword tools that are already out there. So Google has some where you can actually look at how many people are searching for certain key phrases. Those are going to be very similar to the TikTok ones. So you can see like best running shoes for flat-footed, for beginners, for women. These are all ones that you could create content around and get yourself ranking for. And then TikTok keyword research and video ideas. You can also go to the TikTok Creative Center. They have some really great tips there. And honestly, this is a great tip just overall. If you are starting to get your feet wet in TikTok ads, especially, and TikTok SEO, go to the TikTok Creative Center. So if you just Google TikTok Creative Center, you'll get there. It will actually show you examples of other brands creating content, top performing tips. It's such a great resource. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely make sure to check that out. And then in terms of diving into actually pulling together your keyword strategy, it's very similar to Google if you've done that. And if you haven't, really just think through what are the questions people are asking through the journey. What are the jobs to be done that they need to do in order to get your product as the answer. And then use these concepts to fuel your video ideas. Incorporate keywords into your content scripts, creative briefs for influencers and creators. And then don't spam or keyword stuff that doesn't work on Google and it doesn't work on TikTok. Because at the end of the day, if you try to put a keyword in that doesn't actually represent what's in the video, and someone searches, sees your video, watches it, and leaves, then that video won't get shown anymore at all. So it needs to answer the question that the keyword you're optimizing is around. So you can see 3 ways to style: floral print dress for spring, could be a key phrase that they're ranking for. So when you type in how to style floral print dress for spring, I bet you that they're coming up for that. And then lastly, mind your video previews and captions. I think this is something that we all think, oh, it's just how it appears on my feed, is that video preview that shows up on your feed, the like screenshot that you can design. But it has so much more meaning when you think about it in social search, because when someone's looking on social search, they're going to see all the little uh, video previews and decide which one they're going to click. So really think through it from that perspective. So 90% of top videos on YouTube use custom video thumbnails, which, thinking just parallel to a consumer on YouTube and a consumer on TikTok, it's very similar. Like, you want to make sure that your thumbnail makes people want to click on it, right? And then brainstorm hooks and phrases to make your content previews more exciting. So how to, what is, best, easiest, fastest. And then give your viewers a taste of the content as well. And then something else too, like this screenshot here just shows, like, make sure that the text is like easy to see. You can see this one's like kind of hard to read on there. So like think through like how that preview looks. And then make the most of TikTok hashtags. So hashtags categorize your content and make it easier to find. It is shown, or it seems to be well accepted, that the TikTok algorithm is looking at hashtags, and it's looking at the actual captions that are not hashtags as well, but they're both important. So hashtags, though, are a great way to find more keywords. Review, like necklace stack, maybe is a hashtag that you can see here has 51.5 million views, right? So you may want to create some content if you have a necklace company, jewelry company, around necklace stack. So there's some really niche hashtags that actually have a ton of content and views. So I think that that's also just something to keep in mind, that like TikTok has some very niche categories. But that actually helps you as a marketer because it's even more bottom of the funnel. So community tags also are important, like clean talk. There's people that love just watching people clean on TikTok, a book talk for books. So there's some really niche categories. And then ways to find hashtags, go look at your competitors, see what they're using. Look who's popping up for some of those search volume. Click on them, see what hashtags are being used. And then the best practice is to use 3 to 5 hashtags per video. You don't want to overwhelm it and be too many, because it kind of almost like negates it. So really stay in that sweet spot of 3 to 5 hashtags. And then creator content is the other main pillar of social search. So creating for social search, like, you need to have enough people posting, like you need to have enough content out there, enough hooks in the water. It's just like Google in the early, not even early days, even now on Google, you can't just create one blog post and expect your thing to rank. You have to have enough hooks in the water. And realistically, it's very hard for brands to create enough content consistently. So working with creators is a great way to do that. So we worked with this one brand to get them ranking for several key terms around shampoo bars, best shampoo bars, best shampoo bars for curly hair, a bunch of long tail keywords. And we had creators create content around that, and they now are starting to see themselves rank for it. And now it's really moving through the bottom of the funnel and generating sales and really creating that snowball effect as well. So very cool other piece of ROI that you can get from really doubling down on TikTok. So now let's jump into TikTok Shop, Ads, and Affiliate. And as you can tell, I am doing a high-level overview of these categories just because TikTok has so much going on, but we do have even more resources in a lot of these categories. Sam can share it in the chat too. We have a full TikTok SEO webinar alone and some content around that we can share. So happy to share those with you guys as well. But how to drive with Shop, Ads, and Affiliate. So just from a high level, what is Shop, Ads, and Affiliate? So TikTok Shop is here on the left, that first screenshot. So you can see these are actually like connected to your CMS that you're using. So Shopify, I believe WooCommerce, there's like several that TikTok Shop integrates with. So that once you integrate, it actually pulls your product listing and pulls it over to TikTok Shop, and people can actually check out right on the app without even leaving. So that was launched last year and kind of like a rollout process, and we're seeing some brands getting amazing results from it, but it's still early days as people are figuring it out. Then you have paid and Spark ads. So paid ads very similar to what you're used to on probably Instagram, where you're scrolling and all of a sudden an ad pops up and a brand paid for that ad placement. That is a traditional paid ad. But there's also something called Spark ads, and these have an are incredibly valuable, and I'll talk about some of the stats with it. But a Spark ad, as you can see, looks very similar to a paid ad, but it's actually run through a creator's handle. So you can see here on the left, it's Frisia NYC. That's a paid ad for their handbag. So if you click that, it goes to the brand website. But the Spark ad on the right is for J. Crew, but you can see they're doing a Spark ad with Kit Keenan, it looks like her name is. So if you click that, it looks like it's coming from Kit's account. But if you click on the ad, shop now, it takes you to J. Crew. And I think it's just a psychology thing where it feels less like an ad because it's coming from a creator. But people and studies are showing that Spark ads perform incredibly well, and that's another great way to work with creators. And then lastly, affiliate. So affiliate can actually be used with Spark ads as well, but it's the concept that you can actually turn on affiliates on TikTok Shop, where if a creator links your TikTok Shop listing and you have affiliate turned on, every sale that's made, they will get a little bit of a commission on that sale, which is a win-win for the creators, and it also incentivizes what you both want, which is sales as well. So first diving into TikTok Shop. So it's new-ish, launched about a year ago. Think Amazon, but on TikTok. Brands can create a dedicated storefront and sell products natively in the app. And then creators act as affiliates by publishing shoppable videos with your products. So how do shoppable videos work on TikTok? Creators tag approved products in their videos, which lead to a product page. So you have to turn on the ability for creators to tag it. The checkout does happen natively right on TikTok. So you can see like that add to cart button kind of in the middle screenshot there. So like you click add to cart and you actually check out on TikTok, which there was some question about, do people trust TikTok enough to get their credit card? But as we know, 10 billion sales was just surpassed last year. So I guess enough people are doing it. And then creators get an affiliate revenue from the products purchased via their videos. So creators can list their products on their own shop, formerly known as storefront. TikTok keeps changing the names of things, but they can also do that. So it really is, I feel like, a win-win for both the brand and the creator, but you have to make sure that you're setting up your affiliate in a sustainable way. You don't want to pay them too much because where you lose money, but you don't want to pay them too little where it's not incentivizing for them. And then the future of TikTok Shop. So Shop is integral to TikTok's goal to hit 17 billion in e-commerce sales in 2024. TikTok is hiking up seller fees. Their cut will increase from 2% to 8% plus a 30% per transaction by July 2024. We all knew this was coming. They start low to get people hooked and then they raise it. So that is one of the tricky parts here of making TikTok, or honestly any channel, your only channel. I never recommend brands have only one channel because then you're beholden to what that channel does. So something to keep in mind is they are going to increase it over time. And then TikTok is testing features to make all videos shoppable. There was an article just out recently in TechCrunch where they're actually like using their AI to like look at the video and like guess what products are in it. It's pretty wild. They have not rolled it out, but they are doing some testing around it. And then TikTok Shop affiliate types. There are two different types when you turn this on. So let's say you have your TikTok Shop set up and you're like, I want to turn on affiliate. And it's going to tell you, do you want a targeted plan or do you want an open plan? A targeted plan allows you to hand pick your creators. An open plan allows for any creator who meets TikTok's requirements that they can link to it. And TikTok's requirements is that they're 18 years old and have at least 5,000 followers. So just so you know, these are the two options between them. Obviously, with an open plan, you have to like, there's no limit. Anyone can connect versus a targeted plan. And then the open plan, put some or all of your products in the TikTok Shop affiliate network. You actually can choose if you want only some of your products to be eligible for this. So maybe you have ones with better margins or ones that you want to push more. But it does incentivize creators to create that content, which is really exciting as well. And then that targeted plan, directly invites specific creators to promote your product, define custom commission amounts for your best creators. So if you want to do a more targeted strategy, and you have to use TikTok's Creator Connect to find and message creators individually. So it's a little tedious and time consuming though. And then requirements for TikTok creators to be affiliates. So they have to have 5,000 followers. They must be 18. They must have potential in-app competition. Oh, potential in-app competition between brands and affiliate payouts is important to note. So let's say you have your competitor in there and they could link you or the competitor, and the competitor has a much higher payout. You're going to link that instead. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. So you need to be conscious about how you're going to compensate the creators and if they value the value exchange works from that perspective. Something I hear brands all the time say too is like, well, I have an affiliate program. I don't need to pay the creators then. Like, I don't recommend that because most of the time they're only getting paid a very little amount on the sale and they're still doing a lot of work to create that content. And you can use that content if you structured your deal right across your marketing funnel. So those creators, are have the right to be compensated for that value that they're bringing. So it really is, we call it value exchange. What is the creator value getting in exchange for what they're actually doing for you, right? And doing a full commission basis may not always be the answer for most brands. Which leads me to my next slide here, which is affiliate payments alone aren't worth it to most TikTok creators because not all videos go viral. So it really is a numbers game. You need enough hooks in the water for some to hit. So in fact, many affiliate payouts are less than $1 per purchase. So just keep that in mind when you're talking with creators so you don't insult them and say like, well, you're getting the affiliate payout. So that's all you're worth. Like they're still getting views. Some people may not actually even shop through the link because they might go to your website instead. So the reality is the buyer's journey isn't linear and views don't always translate to purchases and dollars for brands or creators. So it's important to be open and have that conversation with creators. But then every once in a while, one can go viral. So you also need to know that you could be paying out a lot of money. So make sure that it's sustainable for your business. But one really cool example is a TikToker claimed that they have earned more than 13,000 in affiliate commissions for one hairbrush review that went viral, which is super cool. And now it's gone on to sell over 285,000 units through running Spark ads for that content. Which leads us into Spark ads. So optimizing your paid presence with Spark ads. So Spark ads are TikTok promotions that transform creators' organic videos into ads. So like I said before, looks like a normal ad, but it has the creator's handle at the bottom. There are so many great stats that prove why if you are running TikTok ads at all, you need to make sure Spark ads are part of your mix of ads. And that is because Spark ads outperform non-creator ads when it comes to engagements and conversions. CPG brands running Spark ads saw a 96% higher paid media return on ad spend versus other channels. So 96% higher when using Spark ads. And then you have opportunity to drive sales from your existing influencer content. So not only do you get this amazing organic content from influencer, but then you can also really juice it with paid and it has a better conversion rate. So seeing these left side by side again, in feed ads, you can upload any video, you can make changes to that video and you run them in feed and it has your brand name at the bottom. Spark ads look and act like an organic post. So if they click on the comments, it goes to the comments of that organic post. If you click on the creator's name, it goes to that creator's handle. So it really allows them to, grow their following too. So creators love it as well. And then that CTA goes to the landing page. And then just to show how drastic the difference is between the creator or the engagement rate of Spark ads and creator ads versus non-creator ads, it's a 83% higher engagement rate versus non-creator ads. So you're leaving a lot on the table if you are not incorporating this into your strategy. And then just some more stats. I love to show these too, just if you are trying to think of how you're setting aside budget for these different channels. Spark ads have a completion rate of plus 30% versus non-Spark ads, an engagement rate of 142% higher than non-Spark ads, and a CVR of over 43% higher too. So TikTok ads featuring those creators have that 83% higher engagement rate, and they get the biggest boost in brand recall in the beauty, CPG, and fashion spaces, according to TikTok. And then some best practices. Early impact is very crucial on TikTok. You only have 2 to 3 seconds to really grab someone's attention before they just swipe. So opening a video with a hook is crucial. Creators are really good at this because they know that, and that's how they've been able to, grow and build their communities. 50% of the impact of a TikTok ad happens within the first 2 seconds. And some of the best ad hooks that viewers enjoy include seeing if X lives up to the hype. So put your product in there, testing out the new viral, new blank. I was honestly surprised, something that gives people like, oh, I want to figure out how this is going to end. And then some Spark ad best practices. So Spark ads, less than 15 seconds drive 38% higher sales lift than longer ads. Even with long form ads, the first few seconds are make or break. So example, most click-through rates happen with a 4-minute ad in the first 5 seconds. So that beginning is really critical. And then trends too are really great with Spark ads because it just makes and leads to that more authenticity. So remember, to use a Spark ad, creators must be using royalty-free music because otherwise you can't do it. TikTok has a phrase, make TikToks not ads. I think that encompasses almost everything you need to know. It should feel like an organic video in the feed, not like a produced ad as well. And then TikTok recommends 3 to 5 creatives per ad group for Spark ads. So testing 3 to 5 different creatives in that ad group, and then you kill off the ones that don't work and you keep putting more of your spend in the ones that do. The more you test, the faster you can optimize. And then it takes advantage of TikTok's really hyper-targeted algorithm as long as you're testing enough pieces of content. And then in terms of SEO in TikTok ads, oh, I think somebody's off mute. I don't know how to mute her. Did someone mute her?
30 minutes.
I don't know. I don't know how to mute her. Oh, someone did. Okay. So SEO in TikTok ads, you have, if it wants to go, we'll just hop back. There we go. You have the TikTok Creative Assistant uses generative AI to help brands craft ads and align with social media search optimization. So going back to that TikTok creator, their creative assistant. So they have a bunch of amazing tools that you can use to actually help with it. So you can see right here, when you upload the video, it'll actually say this script is not optimized for SEO, and it will help you optimize for it. So when you see that pop up in TikTok, take that seriously and rework your content as well for it. And then our last section. So how to drive sales with TikTok creators. So creator content feeds sales. So like I said, the reason I put this one last is because it goes into all the categories. They're first, the top way to impact social search is by using them as part of your strategy to get all those hooks in the water. They make paid ads perform better. They also drive sales through TikTok affiliate and the shop. And then you can also repost creator content on your feed to boost your organic reach too. So creator content earns more reach and engagement by default. So there's tons of studies where a piece of content is posted both to a brand account and a creator account, and the creator account tends to perform significantly better. So you can see one right here too. Insomnia Cookies posted it. It was 36 times the engagement rate. And if you know Insomnia Cookies, they actually have pretty good engagement on TikTok. So it just proves it just feels much more authentic if it's on the creator's account, right? But then it also saves you less time and effort building your social presence if you work with creators as well. And then, of course, creators are already familiar with the latest trends. So from an organic perspective, it is so hard to keep up with all the trends, but if you have an always-on creator strategy, they're already incorporating the trends into it, especially if you give them creative freedom to do so. So it allows you to be part of the conversation without having to have a huge army creating all this content in-house too. And then creators boost the visibility of your branded hashtag. So much like when you Google yourself and you hope positive things come up, the same applies to TikTok and even Instagram. So when you think about this, I would recommend definitely searching yourself on TikTok, seeing what's coming up, making sure you are part of the conversation. If there are any negative ones happening, you probably should be aware anyways. And then you can start seeing what content you want to create to make sure, with the hashtag, use creators to, get some extra great content about you into the feed as well. And then creators are obviously trusted more than brands. It makes sense. 92% of consumers trust micro influencers more than traditional ads or celebrity endorsements. And through comments and interactions, creators can elaborate on why your product is awesome. So much great stuff happens in the comments. It's great for you to be a part of it, but then also when they chime in and give that third-party social proof as well. And then bonus, these interactions are really like candy to the algorithm to show it to more people. Um, and then they, of course, make it easier to increase your publishing frequency. So social algorithms, value and prioritize accounts that publish consistently. So you want to make sure you are doing that as well. But that can be challenging. So if you can get an army of creators working with you, and of course, negotiating the rights to use their content, then you can actually increase that social frequency as well. And then both Instagram and TikTok recommend brands post multiple times per week. TikTok actually recommends multiple times a day. And then if I can leave you also with anything is stop stressing over follower count of your own account and of the creators that you're working with. Because smaller creators with less than 5,000 followers actually have the most engagement on TikTok to begin with. And it's really the algorithm that drives viewership instead of followers. So what matters much more is the authenticity of the video itself and the actual creator brand fit versus how many followers they have. So videos get shown to people who don't follow you. So once again, follower count doesn't matter from that perspective. And creativity and authenticity matter much more. So I always say it's like hooks in the water. You'd rather have like 100 little hooks than one big hook, right? So micro influencers create meaningful content because the stakes are high to keep their audience engaged, where macro tend to have lower engagement rates because their follower list is a little bit more diluted. But at the same time, with TikTok specifically, like it's really a numbers game. So then some examples as we wrap up, just so that you can see this kind of in real life action. So Dippin' Daisies has done some really great campaigns around driving even lower funnel conversions. So they sparked their top organic content. So they looked around and they found creators creating organic content and user-generated content, and they sparked it. A lot of it was unboxing and try-on content. And they were able to drive 6,000 product purchases. And they reported a 50% increase in return on ad spend by using this. So just going back to that original, like why Spark ads work so well, they do really increase that authenticity and those conversion rates as well. Hill House also has a great case study. They began working with influencers out of necessity, as a lot of people did early on. And they realized, influencers as authentic content studios is like how they view it. And I think that's a really great way to view creators is like their value is not just in how many sales you can actually see as clicked through. They're like creating a giant content studio for you, right? So they regularly use this content across their full funnel in ads, reposting on TikTok, across all those different pieces. And I like this quote from them that Hill House Home doesn't obsessively track whether influencers post lead to clicks or sales. Instead, the brand treats its influencers as content studios who can produce the same kind of work that an ad agency or production company might. And I think this goes in alignment with the studies that show like highly produced content does not work well on TikTok, which is why it's even more beneficial to work with creators. And then Hulken, they ramped up TikTok ads in anticipation of Black Friday, and they adjusted targeting to focus on TikTokers most likely to purchase the product in their category. So the really big breakthrough for them was all in the UGC and the Spark ads. So once again, we've seen this over and over again with our clients is that UGC and Spark ads just like make the return on ad spend so much more efficient. So they saw a 43% increase and a 98% higher CVR versus previous months, and the product sold out as a result of the campaign. So the takeaways as we wrap up, consistency is key for visibility and reach. Creativity, community, and I would say authenticity is greater than followers. Creativity plus volume equals successful organic campaigns. And then when you're thinking about ads, first make TikToks, not ads, and then use them in your ads, which is what all those studies show. So as we jump into using the last 5 minutes for questions, I also just wanted to give a shout out to, feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. I post tons of content and I try to stay up to date on anything and everything happening, social media, especially TikTok and Instagram and influencer. So just check me out there. Also, if you want to connect, just say hi and say you found me on here. I'd love to connect as well. So it's Kristen Wiley on LinkedIn. And then I also just wanted to let you know if you are interested in checking out our platform and it seems like it is a good fit for you, we are doing an exclusive offer for Accessory Council members. So if you mention Accessories Council at sign up, we'll give you 200 bonus credits to your account as well. So so I'll open up to questions while we have a few minutes left.
Amazing amount of information.
Yes,
It's
I covered a lot.
overwhelming, Kristen. I mean, if you're not already using TikTok is part of your strategy, where might one start? And, you know, definitely if you have questions, put it in the chat. We can unmute you. You can ask live, but I can't imagine that, you know, there won't be some good ones.
Yeah. Your question was like, where do you start if you're just getting started with TikTok
Yeah,
as well?
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So I always say like first you have to acknowledge the resources you have in your team. And as we know, I just covered a lot and there's a lot of pieces, right? So even just thinking about adding a new channel. So I would assume a lot of brands are already on Instagram. If you're deciding to invest in TikTok, just know that you need to pull together a strategy for it. Like you can't just dabble here and there because it won't at the end of the day, I don't know if it's really worth it, right? Like you need to actually put the time into it. It's almost better to like just put all your time into Instagram if you don't have enough time to dedicate to TikTok. Now, if TikTok is important to you, pull together a plan that slowly eases you into it. So maybe start with just I broke it down into 4 categories. Start with the organic piece. Start interacting, creating some content, then maybe start branching into some creators who can help you with those different pieces as well, is what I would recommend as a starting point.
great. Any questions? Pop them in the chat, raise your hand. I'll take those.
Outside of yourself, are there any other best avenues to find affiliates, creators to fit your brand on TikTok? Yeah, so TikTok actually has a full like TikTok creator, I think it's just TikTok creator database. If you search that, it'll take you there. The actual name of it's blanking, but if you search that, you can find it online, and you can search through that. So I do recommend before even using a platform like ours to do some of it on your own and start dabbling because like our platform is really to help brands scale that over time, but it's really, really great and important for you all to test it on your own and see what's working, and then we can take that and really like help you scale it over time. But I would recommend using the I think it's TikTok Creator Studio or TikTok Creator, maybe Sam. Oh, Marketplace. Yes, thank you, Sam. It was escaping me. The TikTok Creator Marketplace is a great place to start, just to start searching for those as well. Great question as well. Um,
Ready another minute to put
Yeah,
it
give
in.
everyone a minute. I think someone else said about connecting directly. We'll make sure to reach out to you, Scott, and get something. Sam will take that down and we'll make sure to connect with you as well. Um, and yeah, I look forward to connecting you with you as well. Annie, thanks for reaching out and for joining too. Amazing.
So we'll have the recording on the Accessories Council website. If you want contacts, we will definitely send you over to Kristen and the team. And I thank everyone for spending their lunch break with us. My mind is just spinning with ideas, Kristen. It's
Yeah,
really
we'll chat after too, and I
amazing.
mean we could
Okay,
do like
please.
a
Yeah,
specific niche one, or if everyone on this webinar has a specific category they have the most pain point with, we could just do one on that. So I know it's a smorgasbord of things to cover in this one. So
great. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you soon. Check our newsletters out because we have lots of opportunities in there coming up. And everyone have a good afternoon. Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.